Hopefully I'm titling this video so that you find it, because you won't have to go through the long, drawn-out process of finding this information that I did. Hope I'm not wasting too much of your time. Let's keep it under 10 seconds. Gun owners own the following range of pistols 60% of the time. Shotguns, 60% of the time. Rifles, 60% of the time. But what ratio? Because they all add up to 120. Yes. The majority of gun owners own, if you ask them if you have a shotgun, 60% say they have them. All of these, it's almost exactly 60%. It fluctuates all over the place. And that's a really large-scale survey of gun owners. Next thing, gun sales and ammunition sales, to help figure out how many guns there are out there and how popular they are. Here we go. Now, I told you the ratio. Literally, it's just shotgun, rifle, pistol. You already knew this was going to be it if you know anything about this, because they serve extremely different purposes. Trying to make a universal, if you could have just one gun, a lot of people pick a slightly oversized pistol or a mid-range rifle or a mid-sized shotgun, and this makes it really hard to say because these are the numbers. Most guns in existence. This includes the fact that they're more reliable, durable, didn't break, people are willing to repair them, people who might hate them because they break all the time will still maintain them. Most gun sizes. Pistols, 22 long rifle and 9mm. Period, full stop. That's literally the most common pistol or revolver. Remember that in a few minutes. I'm going to clarify it more. Rifles, currently in existence, 223-556 or 308-762. AR-10, AR-15. Or ordinary rifles. These are rifles. Why? You use the 22s for one type of game, and it's 22 caliber versus 31 caliber, essentially 30 caliber kind of bullets. That's all. It's you'll find this number coming up a lot in a minute. No, they don't go for 50 caliber or 45 very often. There's a reason for it. Need. Has nothing to do with military, has nothing to do with assault weapons. Shotguns, 12 gauge. And I mean, literally, that's it. That's 50% of the entire sales content for the equipment, the material to fill it, ammunition, and more importantly, most people, the majority of people just say, yeah, 12 gauge, because they assume that's what you mean by shotgun anyway. I mean, it's just literally, it's like, at one time, pistol always meant 38 or 22. Then you get the idea here. There are certain assumptions people make. And also, it's like bicycle sizes. There's basically a couple of sizes. Grown people, kid size, maybe differences with male and female, maybe 3 wheels versus 2. It's like motorcycles. It's 2 wheels and it's got a motor on it. I mean, we've gotten to the point that you don't really need to innovate something if it's done. Top selling production rank. This was gotten from libtard sites. Now, the reason I did that is they're more obsessed with who buys guns than I can ever find any group of. And they're the most stubborn about not telling you what the hell they're... Well, it was a Mossberg. A Mossberg what? Seriously, was it CBS or ABC? Some damn... I'll just give you the numbers so you don't have to trudge. Seriously, you made a slideshow for 14 pages. No, actually, it was 27 pages. Fuck you. Anyway, here we go. 40% production rank. Pistols. 9mm, 45, and 38. Where's the 22? Wait for it. 37%, we're talking 40, 40 again. Rifles. 223-556. It edged out the others, but that was the majority of them. Just the majority of varieties. 11% were shotguns. 12 gauge, of course. There are others, but we'll get to them in a minute. 7% revolver. Now we get 22, 38, 44, 357. The reason for this is those are cartridges, at least these, the particular ones I was looking up, that primarily use rimmed base straight wall cartridges. They're harder to make a feed mechanism for, and you can look up all the feed mechanisms for them, but you got to get creative with something that has a rim on it that's designed to make it to where you can basically slam fire a bullet or stick it into a couple of pieces of tubing that you got from Lowe's and make a really bad zip gun. The reason these and many others are used is because that rim at the base can act as a seal, and you can get away with using a really shitty barrel. And that also means that if you own a really well-made gun, it would take a metric fuck ton of screw-ups to make it not able to fire at least well enough. And it's a revolver. I'm sorry. Revolvers are very close. I mean, revolvers and break-action shotguns and bolt-action single shots are some of the most reliable things on the face of this planet. They don't break very often. Revolvers are obviously more complicated, but seriously, it's a 6-shot gun, and it doesn't break very easy. That's why they like them. It's exclusively the reliability and longevity. The rest were others, as in 80% parts, 80%ers, random junk, barrels from blown-up guns, guns from blown-up barrels, just the parts, and that was the rest of the percentage. And the thing is, these things are overlapping a lot, because some of these were combination rifle shotguns or pistol revolver confusions, and yeah, but the sales there, sellers and production rank. Alaska Department of Fish and Game survey in the year 2000. 80% of the top 10 cartridge type calibers. They didn't discuss much else because they were talking about hunting season. All of this is variation to it on sales and stuff during during whatever hunting season might be involved, or whatever the latest, fear-based buying frenzies going on. Remember when everybody tried to buy 22? So here we go. What did they find? Calibers, the actual caliber range, period, full stop, 27 caliber to 31 was 80% of it. Now this tells you what people really use in Alaska. 27 to 31, basically hovering around 30 caliber. Full 30. So here we go. Rifle, 22 to 31 caliber was the range. And it was 223.556 and 308.762. And they were also the cheapest rounds you could find because of, economy of scale. People buy them more often. Pistol and handgun cartridges, 38 through 45, most common. But no, just listen. I'm talking about all of it. But the cheapest was 9mm, which is 35 caliber essentially, and 22 rimfire. Again, because of a specific group of types of guns and special purposes. Self-defense guns, the whole list of self-defense guns goes up and down, but it doesn't go above 50 caliber most of the time. In fact, you're better off not doing that in most cases. Sorting by popularity, shotgun gauge and versus caliber notation for it, because I'm going to bring up the caliber equivalent for a shotgun. By popularity, 50% of all of the guns that exist, all bullets, all designs, all permits, the whole thing, 50% is 12 gauge, which is essentially a 73 caliber. Yes, someone is going to say something else. That's just the declared assumed diameter of the inside of the pipe. You could have it be literally anything, because shot comes in anything from dust diameter all the way up to 38 caliber diameter. So as long as you don't get it to where the pellets you're firing, 2 of them added together might jam in the barrel, you may have noticed the numbers here, pretty close, you should be fine. 357 Magnum bullets jammed down a barrel if they work perfectly round. Think about it. The rest were cheaper, quote unquote, designs or cartridges, depending on what website you go to. I'm going to get to the price tags in a minute. But it was 20 gauge, aka 63 caliber. Some of it was 28 gauge, otherwise known as 56 caliber, and 67 gauge, aka 410 or 41 caliber, or 45 Colt diameter. And again, 45 Colt is a rimmed cartridge. Just like the rimfire ammunition, pistols, stuff like that, shotguns are all rimmed cartridges. And they don't really go down very small diameter. The magic number of 410 works out properly, that's the bore diameter of the barrel, not the cartridge, to a 45 caliber. So you get this weird sweet spot where people are used to firing a rifle that's 45 because it's a shotgun. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. ATF, I'm not calling it by its full name because this is LGBTQ alphabet soup. The ATF legally has considered any firearm with a rifled barrel over 12.7mm or 50 caliber to be a destructive device in the United States. They decided to declare that as kind of a cutoff point. It had some reasons behind it, but it was because of new designs. If you wanted to make something that caliber, you had to get approval. Below that caliber or at the caliber, 50 caliber, they didn't really consider it a destructive device. So a lot of people started making things up to that limit, and then a bunch of people found out that firing a fucking 50 caliber Desert Eagle hurts. It's not fun. I don't want it. 45 caliber, tolerable. 38s, okay. But people started realizing trying to have a dirty, hairy gun wasn't fun. because you get dirty and you don't grow any hair because you're on your ass in the mud. A firearm designed to fire shotgun shells could be converted, because of a necessity, to fire slugs by the addition or substitution of a rifle barrel, addition or substitution, or a choke that goes in the muzzle. It's a muzzle loading choke, or a subcaliber insert, which is a breech loading device. There's muzzle devices and breech devices. Think about this for a minute. Subcaliber insert. It would still be treated as a shotgun because you haven't permanently modified it, because you can change it back. Because shotguns, by their nature, most of them at the time, even currently, it's insanely easy to change out a barrel. They're made to be able to do that because they blow up sometimes, because somebody jammed something into it. Like, let's say, another caliber, or worse, the wrong chamber diameter. Yes, technically you can chamber a 3.5-inch cartridge into a 3-inch chamber and it'll blow the damn thing up. It happens often enough, they just say, you know, you can change the barrel. You have to. You're lucky you didn't die from it. Well, maybe. Well, let's see what happens here. It wouldn't be classed as a destructive device if it had already been given a waiver by being, quote-unquote, of sporting use, which meant suddenly you can make a rifled barrel 73 caliber gun or bigger. So this had the effect of making it to where changing barrel, liner, muzzle device, chambering, any alteration. That's the reason, if anybody's curious in Britain, they say any part that takes pressure, like the chamber or the barrel, that's the part that has to be serialized and it's regulated. In the United States, we serialize and regulate the body of the gun because it's the only part that isn't considered a consumable or disposable item. That's actually why the ATF did that. We treated it as a interchangeable parts thing. And very early on, this is a long time ago, they figured out that people wanted to be able to fire solid slugs out of a shotgun once in a while because they had to do something that required them shooting at a static object that's really big, a deer or something like that. On the other hand, you use shotgun pellets on something that's moving pretty quick usually. And also, to be very blunt about it, people were ignoring the rules they wanted to make about not using slugs and just cutting shells. That'll be another subject in a minute. This also implies the throwaway barrel. We're going to be getting to that. 12 gauge, 3.5-inch shell with double-aught Bach, 18 pellet, 1,200 feet per second shotgun shell in a 20.55 millimeter or 0.81, it's 0.809 inch or 81 caliber chamber that chambers down to 0.798 inches. It's basically 81 down to 80 caliber for the full length of 3.5 inches. Just a 3.5-inch chamber holds a 3-inch shell. Remember that. And the test bore that's done for SAMI specifications we're going to talk about. But it has a 0.4-inch long forcing cone that necks that down again to 72.5 caliber, or 0.725 inches, as a test bore, even though it could be 73 or whatever. There's hundreds of different bore diameters that are considered standard. This is versus the maximum choke of 69 caliber and a cylinder bore of just call it 73 caliber. And they used a 30-inch long barrel because they wanted to test it as max length. This produced, using standard testing procedures, 1,500 pounds per square inch. No, 15,000 pounds per square inch. Call it 16,000. 15.7. Anyway. And this also came out the same way, essentially, for the 0.745 max diameter slug and the 0.735 slug smaller diameter. 73.5 caliber to 74.5 caliber slugs. Yeah, they're bigger, they're overbore. And a 25,000 pounds per square inch proof load using 1.6 ounce of mass fired. This was similar PSI when you test it to a 410 shotgun shell. In fact, they're almost the same damn numbers. And they use a 0.4811 inch, 12.11 millimeter diameter chamber. Rest of the data below will be in another video I'm going to be uploading in a few minutes. The PSI rating for all of this is based on something I'm going to be discussing as well. I'm not giving the short answer of what you can do, but because of these rules and the information I've given you, that's enough of a starting point with the barrier of entry Mr. Subaru talked about for you to start working on alternative or disposable barrels. Thank you.